I thought you were a hero. Yeah. You just brushed past an insect to burst.
Did you give me anxiety? It gave me so much anxiety. Where's the next scientist? It's time to die. Get ready, because this episode is going to be the most fun yet. You're going to be rolling in the aisles of laughter. You're in for such a big feast of fun. You're going to be sweating fun. You're going to need a fun detox, because today's subject is death. So for those of you watching at home, this is a trigger warning. We're going to be talking about some heavy stuff today. Death is an inexhaustible and unavoidable component of both life and video games. If you want to get to the end of a video game, death is what you have to dodge. In some games, we kill for kicks, but it's the dying that makes us better. Every early arcade game came with a built-in game over death. We can't talk about death in games without talking about die and retry, where progression is based upon repetition, success and failure. If you want to get ahead, you have to die. It's pretty deep actually. With death comes knowledge. In the Demon's Souls saga, life is hard to hold on to, but each death makes you stronger. Death can bring games fame. Mortal Kombat built its reputation on
fatality,
and Doom on the idea of killing everything that moves. Both games have built ever-growing repertoires of gory, over-the-top kill moves. Like with good movies, death can also tear you apart. You know, when your heart aches more than your thumbs. You know the bits I mean, like the horrific and unexpected death of Ares in Final Fantasy VII. But when the Grim Reaper isn't scything down our favorite characters, we also get to play him or one of his disciples, like in Grim Fandango, Peace, Death, or Spiritfarer. Death in video games builds a lovely, morbid atmosphere. I'm thinking Silent Hill, Dead Space, Bloodborne, Soul Suspect, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Wow. Video games really do love death. As with death, there are video games that can tackle grief from a whole range of perspectives and can help the player work through their grief, like with Rhyme, a puzzler journey that follows the 5 stages of grief. Then there's heartbreakers like Dragon Cancer, which is based on a child's grief, or Lie in My Heart, which focuses on the death of a friend who sadly commits suicide. Video games can also make us feel virtual grief. So if you finished a game and you get the game over screen and you feel like you're in a weird episode of Black Mirror, don't worry, it's normal. Some players give their characters names of their late friends or family members to stay in touch, like in Elite Dangerous, while others like Skyrim allow you to create commemorative altars. One player even found the ghost car of his late father in Rally Sport Challenge, and he kept playing until he beat that car. Fortunately, because sometimes we all need a break, there are games that are completely devoid of death, such as Wario Land 2, Journey, Kirby's Epic Yarn. And these are a real breath of fresh air. But maybe we need death in games. I'm gonna talk to 2 people that are gonna help me figure this out. Hey, welcome to Talk, and I have 2 excellent guests with me to discuss death in video games. Firstly, I have Ash Millman, formerly head of horror at What Culture, and now video producer and presenter at PlayStation Access. And also Nate Crowley from Rock Paper Shotgun, the writer of books such as The Death and Life of Schneider Rack and 100 Best Video Games That Never Existed. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
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 How you doing?
Yeah, good. Ready to talk about death?
Excellent. Yeah. Exciting.
Super pumped, cheerful.
So let's start off with something easy. In what game have you lost the most lives?
Oh, I think it would absolutely have to be Bloodborne. Like, just because obviously it's the mechanic of the game. You have to keep coming back and trying again, and all of the Souls-born mechanics of death. Oh, they're good, but they are brutal. And yeah, Bloodborne has seen many of my hours of time and lives in game washed away. So yeah, definitely Bloodborne.
Bloodborne, what about you, Nate?
I'm afraid I'm going to steer the truck straight off a metaphysical cliff here and ask whose lives.
Oh God.
Because I play a lot of strategy games.
Okay.
And
Right.
the death counts often in the thousands with those.
Wow.
Probably Dwarf Fortress, though, I'm going to say, because I played a lot of that over the years, and mortality is what you probably call an overbearing force.
Yeah, definitely.
In that, they all come to an end.
I think mine would be definitely Cuphead. I've lost so many lives in that game. I spent too much time playing that game. Okay, what game made you feel like a brutal psychopath? Like someone that was just killing in a game.
Well, also Bloodborne,
Yeah,
really
maybe.
Claw Cleaver, like there's so many where you had the bloodlust and you just keep going. I think things where you play the monster and can like deliver death that way, stuff like Dead by Daylight,
Yes.
where you can pick your killer, or Carrion was one of my favorites.
Okay.
Where you play as like a gloopy monster that's kind of like this amorphous blob, like the Thing, and you go around a facility just like killing people, and that's the whole thing, is just amorph people.
Yeah.
So it's that was great. That made me very much like, where's the next scientist? It's time to die. So yeah.
You got a proper gleeful in your eye. What about you, Nate?
And I suppose that the ones that really come to mind, Left 4 Dead.
Yes,
When I
okay.
got to be the Charger,
Yeah.
I would always roar like the Charger does, with the sheer glee of smashing someone out of a window. And then the recent God of War as well. I thought the rhythm to the fights in that, just the satisfaction of chaining more and more hits did get me extremely pumped, actually.
I think for me, it's all games that have, and this sounds really bad, it's all games that have virtual dogs, because I have a reputation, I've said this before, I have a reputation for killing dogs in games. I really don't, not in real life, I promise you, but in game I just slash.
What, you just see one, you're like,
Yeah, just, it's gone. It's what it is, I don't know why.
Wiki wiki, wiki wiki.
I should get that checked, but
hey.
it's the way it goes.
Does it count for wolves as well? Because there's a lot of
Yes, wolves
games.
in like The Witcher or in
Yeah, like any canines will do. Like,
in
They're
Ghost
just
of
dogs
Tsushima.
plus, aren't they?
Yeah, in Ghost of Tsushima, the Mongol dogs,
yeah,
they got to go
yeah.
straight away.
They're quite killable.
Yeah, they are. Fluffy as well, which is great. What video character would you love to have killed?
Ooh, I don't really know for this one, because I feel like there's loads of games where like the ones that do the worst thing, or like, you know, that you really want to die, you usually get that moment of payoff where you are going to take them out. So it's not so much a pining for death for them. Someone like Micah in Red Dead Redemption 2,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? You get to do it. I think I've got one that I regret doing, which I thought I would enjoy, which was in Hollow Knight, where there's a lovely nailsmith who makes your sword really like pointy and wonderful. And when he's finished upgrading it, you go and see him, and he's like, I have nothing left to live for. You may kill me with the wonderful sword I have made.
Aww.
And I was like, all right then. Slashed him off a cliff, and I found out later, if you don't kill him, he goes and lives a happy life with another friend in the game and discovers that he loves painting and learns a new passion for life. And I was like, wow. Well, he's dead in my game, so.
Moidera.
I'm really sorry to hear you're a monster.
Literally, I was like,
He literally gave you the sword and you used to.
He asked.
And it was a choice as well, so
Yeah.
you chose to
He
kill
was
him.
standing there. He was like, go on, do it, slash me. And I was like, who am I to say no?
Wow,
Who
okay.
am I?
What about you, Nate?
I know exactly who's in my sights.
Okay.
It was, at the time, I thought it was sad. Sonic 2, Mystic Cave Zone.
Yes.
There's a pit that's slightly too deep to jump out of with spikes at the bottom.
Okay.
And I remember falling in that, and usually Sonic loses all his rings,
Yep.
collects them up, runs on. This one, you can't jump back up, so you can collect some of the rings you've lost, but it's dwindling, and eventually you die. And I think that's probably the moment I first twigged mortality as a kid. But now, in retrospect, I'm glad that happened to him, because I went on the Sonic the Hedgehog ride at Alton Towers, and it's the jankiest, most uncomfortable.
But that's not Sonic's fault.
It is. Yeah, his statue's there with his silly little nose that
So
looks
you're
like a
holding
bean.
So you want to kill all Sonics because of a ride that doesn't live up to your expectations?
Yeah, I'm so cross with him.
Wow. Okay. Why do you think that, I guess, killing and dying are recurrent mechanisms within games? Why do we focus on that as a mechanism for like a lot of the time? There's so many other parts of life, cooking, you know, swimming. Why do we focus on death?
I actually came up with a really smart-ass answer for this one while I was brushing my teeth this morning.
Okay.
So see if I can get it right.
Right.
I reckon it's because of arcade machines needing to like give people a defined amount of time before resetting the game and
Got
going
it.
again. So death, I guess.
A final full stop. Just like,
Yeah.
you can't play no more.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
idea of having multiple lives or continues, I think, comes from that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, what would an alternate universe be like where there'd never been an arcade scene and there was never a need for like extra lives?
Yeah.
That everything had been a roguelike from the beginning. It's interesting.
What about you? What do you think, Ash?
I think it's like high stakes, isn't it? Like, you know, it's life or death when you're doing something, and because it's like a video game, obviously you're not going to actually die if you get it wrong. And I don't know, unless it's a very serious game. So like being able to have that as part of the stakes, like it's death if you mess up is kind of, you know, that at its ultimate point, what is the highest stake you could have? So games playing with that would probably be what I would assume would kind of drive people. And then obviously like that power fantasy of being in control of life and death, like coming back from the dead and being able to kill loads of people. Like, you know, there's some sort of control there that's obviously triggers the dopamine. You want to go back and do some more and come back and die and come back again. So
So kind of like using it like a mechanism to get people invested in the experience. Because if you have those high stakes, you actually take the game more seriously.
But then get the satisfaction of being the one who's doing it as well.
So like Sims, when you take out the
Yeah.
ladder. Okay.
I had a weird like reverse experience of that. I played quite a lot of Hitman 3 last year.
Okay.
I've never really done a Hitman before.
Moiderer. Yeah, go on.
Big time Moiderer. I'm usually a chronic save scummer, but I decided this will be interesting if I play it without saving. Not at all. So every time I failed a level, I had to go back to the start and try again. And I am chronically afraid of repetition. I'm so always worrying about whether I'm going to be bored. So I was really averse to this, but when I tried it, it was great. And I obviously did repeat things quite a lot of times, but I was trying out lots of new stuff. And weirdly, it made me take a lot more risks.
Okay.
Which you wouldn't think because, if I die, I have to go back to the beginning. But I was doing it so many times and having fun doing it different ways. Like, well, I'm going to die in a few minutes anyway. You know what? This guy walking past the cupboard is one of the people I need to kill. You only live once. So out I'd go. And the time I got away with it and finished the level in 10 minutes, I felt like a god.
Yeah.
That's part of it as well, isn't it? It's defeating
Feeling,
death.
yeah, exactly. I was about to say, you're feeling, I guess, free to do whatever you want, like a source of freedom. It's kind of odd.
And it was nice not being tethered by like constantly quick saving and reloading.
Yeah.
And, I do, without sounding pretentious, I think that ruins immersion a bit if you're constantly going out to a menu and back in.
Right. So that brings me to Alien Isolation. Have you ever played Alien? So when you go and save, you have to it's really immersed. You have to plug in with the card and stuff. And that game, I didn't realize there were save points, right? So I was just playing, getting killed by the alien. I'm like, why do I have to go all the way back? And you have to actually navigate to the save points, which kind of keeps the immersion going, but you also get to save your game. So that is a game that actually kind of navigated that really well, rather than going back to the menu and going save, overwrite, all of that stuff.
That's really good because so many things are diegetic now. And that's one of the few games I can think of that's done that with save. It's cool.
Yeah, it also annoyed me though because I died a lot because I couldn't find where they were. You have to really find them.
I couldn't actually handle that game.
Did you give you anxiety? It gave me so much anxiety.
Oh.
Did you finish
I was
it?
like running through it.
Yeah.
Like,
how did you run?
I was like, get me away, like fully. Every time I died so much in it, but I was just like, oh.
So have you ever cried over the death of a video game character?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. No, I feel like I'm really emotional, like with any sort of game. Like as soon as you get like in there, you get really invested with
What
everyone.
star sign are you?
I'm a Libra.
Okay.
Yeah, just to get that out
Yeah,
there.
checking.
But yeah, no, I think The Last of Us 2,
Right.
like just anyone that died in that, I was like crying. Obviously, the big one, Joel.
Spoiler.
I was like, oh my God, I could never play golf again. I've never played golf, but I was like, I could never play golf again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember the scene.
Like Jesse, Yara, like Jesse dying really got me. I was like, oh my God, but he's such a nice boy.
But he's a nice boy.
Yeah, fully. Like I like powered through this game. I played it in a whole weekend. Like I didn't like space it out at all. I did it in about like 48 hours of just I will play The Last of Us Part 2 start to finish. And then at the end I just like lay and just cried for hours. Like it's all so sad because it's like this big death-life mixture of pain. I was go back to it because I'm like, I'm too hurt over all the people that have gone.
It is a lot, that game. It really is a lot. It really, scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And I heard they got new, I haven't played it yet, they got new mobs, so you don't just have the clickers, you have something else. I think it crawls or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, you're flashing back to all the different ones. There's some really good enemies in it that you're really like, and I would not have said all the deaths if I'd realised you hadn't played it.
It's all right, don't worry about it. I'm good with spoilers. What about you, Nate?
Well, I've definitely done a load of weeping at Horizon Zero Dawn.
Really?
Yeah.
When? At the beginning?
Throughout the whole thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was. So that game's really resonated with me.
Okay.
So occasionally with a big like AAA blockbuster, my wife and I like to sit through and play in one sitting. We'll get up really early in the morning and just beast it all in one go.
That sounds like fun.
It is good. It is good. And this one, I'd just got back from. We'd just driven back from Norfolk, where I'd just conducted my dad's funeral, which was cheerful. And we thought, well, we just bought Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, why not? Let's have some robot dinosaurs. And we thought it was just going to be, just gunishment and big metal T-Rexes. It's an extraordinarily emotional game.
And there, definitely.
It's set in a world defined by loss. Like everyone you meet has lost someone or something, and then you find the history of the world and it's just a gut punch. And Aloy's a wonderful protagonist because she is undaunted.
I actually questioned why she was so undaunted when I was playing the game. She was like, okay. I was like, okay, girl, just emotions, feel something. She knows silence and anger. That's what she knows mostly.
Astonishingly upbeat and really, just the best of people. Anyway, our daughter's middle name's Aloy, so I guess we like the game.
Oh, that's so cute.
It was just a really intense day. We kept having to pause the game. Oh, so I'm just going to have a... And so the last 6 hours probably took 8 hours because of the cry breaks.
Aww. But that's good.
It left its mark and genuinely made me feel better.
That's the point, no? Isn't that the point to I guess, help in some way? That's what games are helping us to escape and sometimes deal with our grief, essentially. I think for me... Okay, so there's two. So the first one is, have you ever played What Remains of Edith Finch? Okay, but for me, there's a scene with the baby, and because that's happened to someone close to me in my life, literally, I was streaming on Twitch, and I was like, why is there not a trigger warning? Had to go and get tissues, was bawling on screen. I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't realize this was in the game. And in a weird way, it helped me kind of not move on, but deal with that and see it as something that happened and obviously will cause pain because it's in the game to make you feel that way. But that was the one time I really, really cried, and I didn't expect it. I've never cried at a video game before. And then the second time, okay, it wasn't cried, I just felt sad. But it was Spiritfarer and the uncle. You know the frog uncle? I can't remember his name. And he just disappears and he just never comes back. And you're like, but what about me and my friends and my family? And you just left me. And normally you take them to the arch and you get them to pass on. And it's really spiritual and really nice. Man just dipped from the ship and never comes back. And I was just so upset that the fact that he dipped and he was our family relative. But I really like Spiritfarer. Have you actually played that game?
Really, I had
what
to give it a pass in the end because it was just really sad and beautiful and nice.
At the same time.
Yeah. Oh.
So weird. What is your favorite death mechanic in a game?
The one that always stuck with me when I first played it was Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, because obviously when you die, you can use the Sands of Time to be not dead anymore. But also when you do actually die and run out of your Sands of Time, the prince is telling a story in flashback. So he's like, that's not how it happened, as if it's a story. And then he's has got this unreliable narrator thing going on. And I always really like that as an overarching, you're in a story, you're playing the character.
You ever just think how annoying it would be having that guy tell you an anecdote? So anyway, I walked across the room, but then a snake killed me,
You died.
Oh, actually, let me tell that again. Sorry. I did think about it.
The snake didn't kill me. Hades.
Oh, yes. I love Hades.
Hades is great. And Death's in the game, and he's very, very horny. I really love the way Death there is almost it's kind of like you're on a bouncy castle, bouncing higher and higher, and that's the little flag on a little sucker disc, I guess, that you put on the wall of the bouncy castle to show how far you've got. It kind of doesn't matter. It's just the engine that drives the game. And you can't keep having conversations with people. You can't keep moving things along unless you've died. And I think it's a really interesting evolutionary branch of roguelikes where it's not really a roguelike. You die, sure, but it's all part of a longer metagame where you're picking up incremental bonuses.
I think my favorite death mechanic is Ghost of Tsushima. I keep saying this because I'm playing it right now, but it's the fact that...
Is it the mechanic where you kill the dogs?
Yeah, that's the one. You can come back again and get another one.
Excellent. No, it is that, but it's when Jin dies and the mobs come over and they just kick you whilst you're down. You can't do anything. They literally kick you, stab you, and like you're already dead, and you just watch them after you die.
Stop! He's already dead.
I think that's a really good mechanic because it continues the persistence of the world. Like it's not just you die, black screen. It's you die, they want to kick you down and all that stuff.
This is how you died. It was awful.
Yeah.
Watch it. Yeah.
What's your least favorite death mechanic?
I think the least favorite one is just when you have a really long cutscene that you have to go through over and over again. Like when you die and you're like, okay, yes, I've messed up, and you have to watch your character like get stretched out across a few minutes. And you're like, come on, I want to start again. I want to keep on going.
What about you, Nate?
It's weird because it's a game I love, XCOM 2, and indeed the whole XCOM series.
Yeah.
Because you are meant to be invested in your soldiers. It is meant to matter when they die. It does. It matters so much, in fact, that I load a save game where they're not dead every single time. So it just wastes a lot of time. I always intend to go in and experience that loss and let it be meaningful. No, I always just take the efficient way out. So I'm really annoyed. I wish they forced me to feel the pain.
Yeah. Mine is, and that was going to be weird, I'm saying this, it's Mario. I hate when he goes, "Bloop." Why are you jumping? Like, where are you going? You've just died, but you somehow elevate into the sky and fall down.
And also, if he's falling in front of the screen...
He's just fallen out of the world, man.
It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make logical sense.
I always hate it in platform games. I used to get really angry as a kid when like someone would clip a ladybird by 1 pixel and be annihilated by that. Like, I thought you were a hero.
Yeah.
You just brushed past an insect and burst.
Do you think that video games can help people through grief?
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, obviously you have a much more personal experience with this that you spoke about with Horizon Zero Dawn. I think God of War being like the game where it's going through and learning to like, you know, deal with these things and spread the ashes and all that sort of thing. I get really connected to that as a point of being able to move on with stuff and accept things. I thought it was like a beautiful game full stop. Like,
You're going to laugh so hard now. We played that right after my mum's funeral.
That's not funny. That's super sad.
Oh my God.
It was a year. It was a year. It's okay. No, these things happen. That is literally it. These things happen. It is, and I do think that is, the more you play these things out in fiction, the more it normalizes it, the more you can take on. This is how the world works. This is how things happen. You know, by doing these things, you're rehearsing them, and then by replaying them afterwards, you're healing from them. It's like an inoculation, giving you like a small dead amount of a bacteria, so your body can get used to it, I guess.
The only game that I can definitely think about that has helped is Spiritfarer. And it's just because it's so well done. It's definitely the boat management game, but every spirit that comes on that boat has its own story, has its own little house, and you have to care for them and look after them and find out the story of what they haven't solved before they pass on. I think it's so beautifully done. It's so well crafted, and the art, it just all melts together in this very much softly, gently does it. Here's to deal with your grief. It's a beautiful game.
That's actually why I had to step away from it. And I want to come back to it at some point, but it was so good at that. And I could start to, I don't mean this in a particularly toxically masculine way, but I could start to feel my feelings happening. And I kind of wasn't ready for all of that. It's like, I think I just want to stare gruffly at loads of orcs dying now. It was, it's really good.
One game that I like that doesn't necessarily have a death mechanic because they're already dead is After Party. Have you ever played that?
That's the drinking competition against the devil.
Yes, that is a brilliant game that deals with death in a way where the characters are dead and they're trying to get back to life. And I thought that was an interesting take on the whole relationship that games have with death and kind of flipping it on its head so that, you experience the afterlife as opposed to just dying and starting the game again.
And it defangs it as well, to your point earlier, that especially to anyone who's been very frightened by religion as a child, which I was, it's after death is the really scary bit.
Right.
And that game's like, Okay, it's after death, but it's a frat comedy.
Let's go!
Yeah.
It was awesome. I really liked that game.
It was funny.
As usual, we wrap up our show with a quiz, and this is going to be all about death. So we've called today's showdown the Killer Quiz. This will finish you off if nothing else does.
Oh.
Do we have to fight to the death?
I think so.
I don't want to die.
Get ready.
Okay.
10 questions, 4 possible answers. Only one is good to go. Ready? Okay. Question 1. In what position does Link die in Ocarina of Time? A, he falls on his back. B, he falls on his side. C, he falls on his knees. D, he performs a triple backflip.
I've never played a Zelda game.
Oh my gosh.
No, we've said it on camera.
Wow.
Now we'll die.
I'm gonna vote. On his back.
Okay.
I'm going to say knees.
Nate's right. On his knees.
Well done.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played that particular
Oh my
Zelda
God, we're all
game.
in the Zelda
Yeah,
boat.
so I shall also take the shame. Next question. In 1990, the voice talent for a famous Sega video game was provided by prisoners on death row. It's a bit morbid.
Crikey.
No, what the hell? Which video game was it? A, Sonic the Hedgehog. B, Golden Axe. C, Tetris. They made the sounds of the stacking bars. Or D, Altered Beast.
Oh, these are great choices. Rise from your grave.
Rise from your grave.
Rise from your grave.
How have we not talked about this so far? The best line in history.
Oh man. We were talking about Golden Axe literally just before this.
Do you think that was a
Really?
sign?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote Golden Axe from that.
Solidarity, I will go with you as well.
Golden Axe.
Well done.
Yes.
That is so weird how that came about.
Yeah.
Well done. Next question. The game Homefront correctly predicted the death of a famous world leader. Who was that leader? A, Osama bin Laden. B, Saddam Hussein. C, David Cameron. Or D, Kim Jong-il.
I think the one who was obviously going to get murdered was Osama bin Laden. I think he's probably like the clearest safe bet.
Okay.
I
So you're
guess.
saying A.
Yeah.
Ash?
I'm also gonna go Osama bin Laden.
You're both wrong.
Was it? Has that to do with it? Was it? Was it Saddam Hussein?
Kim Jong-il.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is everyone so stupid?
In the video game Pokemon, and in particular Pokemon X and Y, which Pokemon is associated with death and the world of darkness? A, Xerneas. B, Yveltal. C, Zygarde. Or D, you've made these names up.
D.
I feel like I've just had a serious head injury. Zygarde?
No, it's Yveltal. Yveltal.
Oh, they were real.
They Yveltal. All right, next question. One city builder game gives players the chance to build paradise and hell and manage the afterlife. What video game is it? A, The Sims Hell and Paradise. B, Banish. C, Zeus Master of Olympus. Or D, Afterlife.
I think it's D. Also, I've put hundreds of hours into Zeus, Master of Olympus.
Yeah,
so
you
I
know
think
that.
yeah, it's Afterlife, isn't it?
Afterlife?
Well, yeah, I'll go along with that one. Thank you.
You're right. Both of you are
Yeah.
right. Correct. Well done. Next question. There is a video game structured around the 5 stages of grief. What's the game? Clue, it's set on an island. A, Rhyme. B, Project Zero, The Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. C, Alan Wake. Or D, King Kong.
Far Cry 3.
It's not even in here.
I think I know that one. I think maybe it's Rhyme.
I like your
Take
confidence.
it.
I'm going to
Take
follow
it.
you.
Well done.
Yeah.
Ash has led you to victory. It's Rhyme. Next question. Everybody remembers the death of Aeris in Final Fantasy VII.
She dies. No, it's a joke. That's a joke.
The way I just literally was like, oh shit. So sorry. Initially, however, a different character was meant to die. Which one? A, Cloud Strife. B, Tifa Lockhart. C, Kadaj. Or D, Barrett.
It was Big Sword Boy, I think.
What, Cloud?
No, I just haven't played the game.
Big Sword Boy, which one?
Well, thinking about it logically.
That's it, channel the Sherlock.
Think about it logically, maybe Tifa, because obviously she's the one that you have like an emotional connection with and is like a nice lady, like Aerith. So maybe Tifa.
No.
That makes sense because, well, it's just.
It just makes
She's a
sense.
nice
Okay.
lady.
It's Dee Barrett. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I knew that all along, but I wanted to trick you into taking the wrong answer.
Right. Okay. Final question. In the video game Grim Fandango, which takes place in the land of the dead, what is the profession of Manuel Calavari, aka Manny? A. Undertaker, B. Ferryman on the River Styx, C. Travel agent, or D. MC on a cruise liner?
I like D. I'm gonna vote the ferryman.
I think Undertaker. I know that sounds weird, but I know he had an ironic job of some kind.
No, it's C. Travel agent.
Oh, well, that's ironic. That's the one that is
Very
not the
ironic.
deadly one.
So the scores are in, and Nate has won. Well done, Nate.
By how many points?
2.
Then I shall give one of them to you.
Oh,
and we shall both stand atop the podium.
Golden axe.
You're kind
forever.
of defeating the death object of this show. But thank you both so much for joining me. It's been a really, really great conversation. And now let's take it to the top 5. In video games, we sometimes take a shine to characters. We fall in love with them. We choose to spend hours or days in their company. Unfortunately, in video games, death is as commonplace as Caterpie in the Viridian Forest, and designers sometimes all too cruelly kill off our favourite characters. Nobody wants spilled tears on their D-pad, so handkerchiefs at the ready. Here come the 5 most traumatic deaths in video games. Warning, spoiler alert. Lee in The Walking Dead. In The Walking Dead, our hero Lee saves Clementine, a survivor of the apocalypse, and vows to protect her, come what may. At the end of the game, however, Clementine is forced to kill Lee, her saviour and substitute father, to stop him from turning into a zombie. A traumatic dilemma, one that has proved too much for many gamers. The moment makes Sophie's choice feel like an episode of Friends. Joel in The Last of Us 2. Perhaps one of the biggest traumas in the history of video games. After only 2 hours of play, our dear Joel, hero of the first part, is killed brutally. Just like that. Gone as our cult hero and hello to shrink sessions. 1 year later, I still haven't recovered. John Marston in Red Dead Redemption. At the end of the game, having tracked down his former accomplices, John Marston discovers that the government has reneged on its promise, so he sacrifices himself to save his wife and children. A cruel ending when we know how many game hours we have spent with him. No, I didn't cry, honestly. I was just cutting onions whilst I was playing. Assassin's Creed 2, Ezio's family. An unbearable scene. Ezio doesn't even have time to wipe his tears when the village comes after him to hang him in turn. So I don't mind being cruel at the Renaissance, but there are limits. Aeris in Final Fantasy VII. There's no point in recounting the tragic death of Aeris. Not only do we all remember it as though it happened only 5 minutes ago, but there's no way I'd get halfway through it without breaking down. Even thinking of it sets me off. Sorry, I have to go. Does anybody have a tissue?